Central.
Alright, so, okay. Welcome to today's YouTube video. We're going to be trying something a little bit different. These are my sisters. You've got Tia, you've got Sapphire, and of course it's me, Sherilyn. I've just come back from 4 months in Bali. So many stories to tell, so many things to do, and I just thought an easy way to do this is just to have my sisters ask me some questions about my trip, and then I can hopefully try and like break it down into some smaller chunks of some of the amazing experiences I've had. But also, something that I've always wanted to do and never done is a mukbang. That's the one that introduced me to like the world of mukbang. So I thought, okay, I'll bring back just some local snacks. So we've just got a couple of different things. Don't be upset if you are Balinese and watching this and thinking they are not like our amazing snacks. I don't know, I just went to the supermarket and just picked up a handful of things. So we're gonna see how it goes. Who wants to ask the first question?
I'll ask.
You ask. Okay.
You're taking too long.
So Tia's gonna ask. So you pick which snack you want to try first. I'll break down what we've got. This KDS popcorn, which is mint flavoured popcorn. Salmon skin, crispy salmon skin. Cassava chicken onion flavoured Tic Tacs. Dark chocolate chili flavour. Well, it's very similar to Maltesers, which is Maltitos. What snack do you want to do?
We'll go with the Tic Tacs first, so I'm kind of intrigued.
Okay,
by
big there.
Tic
Tic Tacs. Weird they're called Tic Tacs, isn't it? Because it's
They're
like
not actual Tic Tacs.
No.
They're not. Okay.
Oh, look how you opened that bag.
I know. I don't know how else to open it. Just put a few in my hands. I'm not excited. What flavour is it?
It's chicken.
It just smells
Chicken and
kind of
onion
nice.
flavour. Let's do it. Tic Tacs.
Oh.
What would you say they're like? Rice cakes.
Yeah.
They're like
Chicken
cake.
rice cake with like a Pringle flavour.
Mm.
I think it
I like
reminds me of
them.
like
It
roast
tastes like
chicken
some-
Walker's crisps.
That too. I think they're alright. I like
I think it tastes like chicken Pringles. Chicken flavoured Pringles.
them. Tia's got in for more.
You can have these.
Oh, Tia, your question.
But I remember one of the FaceTimes we were talking about the fact that you were going to go stay in the jungle and you were nervous about it because you had an open room as well. So how did you find that experience?
Oh
in the
my
end?
gosh, Tia. So the jungle room situation was a bit of an interesting one because before I went to Bali, I kind of had this instant desire that I was like, oh my gosh, I want to like have all of the jungle vibes. I want to feel like I'm really tropical. Like I want to feel like I'm just immersed in it. And I went on Airbnb and I'm scrolling through all these different accommodations. And I was like, oh my gosh, Daniel, I found this amazing accommodation. And I was like, the reviews look really good. I was like, it literally is an open room. So like you walk in and then you've only got 3 walls in the bedroom and then it's just open and it overlooks the jungle. And I was like, and I was looking at other ones and you kind of were in the jungle but not quite, like you were kind of couldn't really see it from your room and stuff. And then people were like, look, it is a bit outdoorsy, like obviously it is outdoorsy, but it's fine, like we didn't have any issues. And I was like, I'm just gonna book it. I'm just gonna book it. So I booked it for 8 nights in the jungle and I was all excited about it. And then when I got to Bali, I realised that a lot of the accommodation is jungly anyway, just by proxy. So like even when I stayed in just like random like city accommodation, like modern accommodation, like everything was jungly. Ants could get in everywhere, you know, there was always like a bug, there's always a mosquito. It was just very indoor outdoor, like everything wasn't sealed shut, you know, like there was big gaps under the door. And I was just kind of like, okay, so this is what I'm already getting a sense of the jungle vibe even just in this regular hotel. So like what is it going to be like in this jungle one? So I started talking to some of the friends that I met and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be staying in this hotel. And they were like, we're staying in a hotel that's outside in Ubud. And then literally one of my friends just burst out laughing for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God. He's like, you might like it. He's like, you might like it, but... And then everyone was all laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And there's these very Instagrammable hotels in Ubud, so that's the jungle bit. They're like, oh my gosh, like all of the Instagram accounts, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers and stuff. And one of my friends stayed in this popular one and was like, oh my God, she bought like the whole villa and she said she had to check out after one night because there were just so many bugs and, you know, as soon as it went to nighttime, boy, she was like running around the house. One of my friends had a video where they saw this thing and then she sprayed it and then it disappeared and then the cameras all falling. I was like, oh my God. So I was just like, what have I done? So anyway, I tried to cancel this booking. I was like, let me just try, and it was like non-refundable. I remember being on the phone to Daniel and I was like, what do I do? Like, shall I do it? Shall I not? And I was like, you know what, Shirley, just do it. I was like, worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you can check out and you go stay somewhere else. So I was like, right. So I get down to Ubud, and I kind of had it in the back of my head like a backup plan of like, right, where can I go if I don't like it? So I check into the hotel, and it was lovely. Like, the staff were really, really nice. It was so friendly, so helpful.
It wasn't as jungle as the pictures and videos you sent. It wasn't as jungle as what I thought.
I know, well, it's not like the jungle's in. It's like you're looking out at it. So like, when I went in, obviously there's loads of stairs, like it's like layers and layers to get down. And the guy was carrying my suitcase down to the room, you know, let me into the room, opened it, and it is like, you know, the doorway, obviously that door is a wall, and then you've got a wall there and a wall there, but it's very open, and then all you can see is just palm trees, and you can see everything. It's kind of like hanging out over the jungle. It's a beautiful, beautiful view. But then I was chilling, and I'd kind of checked in, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. There was a couple of geckos, just like the little tiny ones, and I was like, I can handle them.
Okay.
I didn't see a mosquito the whole time I was there, which was amazing, because I thought I was going to get bitten to ass, but that was fine.
Geckos pretty much leave you alone.
Yeah, they were fine. But then I remember sitting there, and I was just, this was probably an hour after I checked in, I was just sitting there, and I was just looking, because you just can't stop looking at this view. It is so beautiful. And I just saw this massive, the biggest bug I think I've ever seen that could fly. And it just flew directly into the room. I was like, oh my god, and I literally was like this. And then it flew into the corner of the door. And literally above the doorway, there was this little cocoon that was like that. And it just flew into it. And I was like, oh my gosh. God. I was like, it's a nest. I was like, it's a nest. I went right down to reception. I was like, excuse me, there's something in my room. He comes up and he's like, oh. And then he realised, he was like, because it's like a nest. So then I was like, I'm going, I don't want to see. And the next time I saw him with he got all this equipment. He's got like this freaking brush. He's got the thing.
What was it?
And I don't know. It was some kind. It looked like a really big bee, like a really big bodied beetle bee, and it was dark in colour, and it had this one like little gold stripe thing. I don't know what it was. I never found out what it was.
Anytime they have a metallic stripe, it's not good.
It wasn't good. All I know is when I went back in the room, there was no bug. There was no bug, and there was no nest, and I never saw it again. What was it, Noelle? It's the dark. I remember when night fell, I was like, right, let me make sure I've got these curtains closed, and, you know, get the mosquito net around the bed and everything. I sprayed like crazy. These bottles of spray that just killed everything. It was like a giant air freshener. Anything that was in its atmosphere was just finished, right? So I used to use that a lot. And then night fell, and I was like, oh, you know what? This isn't that bad. I was like, I'm totally fine. And then I looked around the corner, just like getting ready to go in bed, and I saw this huge lizard. And it wasn't like a normal size gecko. It was the size of two of my hands, like that. It was like this big. And it was just on the side of the wall. And I was like, oh my God. And it just was looking at me. And it stayed there all night. And I literally was hiding. I was like, Daniel, that thing's here. Because I was like, oh, FaceTimed him. But then I put it on Instagram. And I just said, oh my gosh, there's this lizard in my room. And everyone was like, they are the best things to have. They kill all the bugs. They leave you alone. Just make friends with him. Okay. So I named him Linford. And, you know, he was a nice little roommate for my stay. But honestly, that jungle... And as well, they have in the actual site, so there's all these different villas that overlook the jungle. Mm-hmm. And then they've got this infinity pool that also overlooks the jungle. I had floating breakfast there. It was just beautiful. You'd wake up, the sun would rise in the middle of my room. You'd hear all the roosters and the dogs barking. It was just beautiful. It was amazing. So highly recommend the jungle experience. Just bring your spray with you, bring your incense, and just things that are going to make you feel safe in the space, and just wrap that mosquito net really tight just to make sure. But like I said, I didn't get bitten one time the whole time I was there. So that's my jungle experience.
I'm not really a popcorn fan.
Oh, I love popcorn.
It's so dry. You should open it. I feel like I'm gonna.
Oh god, I should try it.
Maybe you'll.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Does it have like a strong mint?
Not strong, but mint for sure.
That much, because I don't really like popcorn.
Mint flavour. Alright then, let's give it a go. I could get down with that. Do you think it tastes minty?
It doesn't taste minty.
Not really.
I don't like normal popcorn.
Oh no, I got a big bit of minty there. Not nice.
Maybe I need one that's more green.
Yeah, get a more green one, because them ones you can taste the mint. Yeah. It's not super minty. No. It's more sugary, but yeah. Okay.
It's weird how mint.
Oh, there's more. Look at this. Okay. All right. So, what's your Bali question?
The best meal you had in the 3 months. There must have been something very memorable that you kept going back to.
Oh my gosh, that's so hard, because there were honestly so many.
I know.
Honestly, there were so many. So
as long as it's not just noodles.
Oh, it is noodles at this one place. If I was to talk about my most repeated meal in Bali, this restaurant that was called, it's called All About Me, and it's in Canggu, but me is spelled M-I-E, which is noodles in Indonesian. So it was called All About Me, and they just did these really nice noodle bowls where it was like you could have steak and ginger, you could have like prawn and like all different flavors, and it comes with the side of like the soup, and you can just basically pour as much soup as you want over it. It was just so delicious. So that was probably like my most repeated meal. Really easy to eat. I never had any issues there. Like I always felt really like good after. It felt like fresh because there was like a nice crunch, and then it had like nice grilled meat and stuff like that on top. So that was really good. Now if I was to talk about some of my favourite meals outside of that, one of the last meals that I had actually was a very Western meal, but it was a steak restaurant called Boy and Cow. And honestly, the most incredible steak. Like, and obviously the price that you pay for the steak over there in comparison to what you pay somewhere else, like ridiculous. Like you would pay hundreds for that over here. But really, really, really delicious steak at Boy and Cow. The most interesting meal that I had was when Daniel came over.
Wait, is interesting good or bad?
Interesting is a bit of both. So it was good, but it was just a really unique experience. So the most interesting meal...
Interesting can be both.
Yeah, it can be. But this is a bit of both, because it was amazing, but it was also not so great. So we went to this restaurant called the Cave Restaurant in Uluwatu, so it's south of Bali. And it literally is a cave. So you go down, there's like a spiral
Is this the one
staircase.
that I saw on TikTok?
Yeah, and then it's got all lights. It does like a light show and everything under there. It's amazing. But it's like a 7-course fine dining restaurant. And fine dining is always a bit, it's a bit, I like that fine dining, but, sometimes they just take it a bit too far, like with all the foam and all the, whatever. So like
the jus.
Yeah, the jus and stuff. So there was some really nice things there. So we had lobster, which the lobster was delicious. There was a short rib beefsteak, which was really nice. They had this like gorgeous like little taco. Like everything was good. Like they had like ahi tuna, like loads of things. But some of the things were very interesting, as in like not on the good side. So there was like a gelatin kind of like meaty thing, which was not that great. But one of the things we had, I feel like it was pate. Daniel, what was that thing that we had?
Foie gras. Duck liver.
Foie gras. Duck liver. And I didn't know. I was like, foie gras.
Liver, pate.
Not for me. And I remember eating it and I said, that tastes like cream cheese. Like it was so weird.
What, the texture?
Yeah, the texture and like it was just all not, it was just not working.
It's like a paste.
Yeah, it's like a paste, but it had like a weird buttery, cheesy flavour to it. It was very odd. So that was probably like my least favourite, but the experience was probably one of my favourites, easily. But there's loads of nice places to eat in Bali. I mean, a lot of the food that I ate was obviously fried noodles. So that would be their nasi
I feel like I would
goreng.
definitely survive well over there because noodles, that's my favourite thing.
Fried noodles. Oh, so you got fried rice and fried noodles, like #1 over there. Nasi goreng. And mee goreng as well, which is the noodle one. Some of the things would not agree with my Western belly. The salmon skin.
It's like when you steam salmon and it slides off.
Yeah.
This is what we're eating.
I had it in Singapore. My friend was like, you've got to try it. And I was like, I don't know how to feel about all that. And then I loved it. But
like this?
It was like this. It was literally like this. But I've never had the Balinese one. But I love this.
So it was like crisps as well?
Yeah, it's like crisps. Yeah, so it's like fried skin.
Does it smell salmony or no?
It smells like fish.
I mean, I like it.
It doesn't have much flavour.
It doesn't have much flavour.
That's
So
fried.
It's almost,
I don't know why I'm eating it. Kind of
just
thing.
fried.
yeah.
It's prawn cracker mixed with chip shop batter with even pork scratchings. I can kind of get that vibe of.
It's not bad. I just I wouldn't eat it because there's not enough flavour. So I'd be
Yeah.
like, why am I eating this? Why am I snacking on it?
Out of all the places you visited in Bali, what in your opinion is like the biggest tourist attraction?
Some of the things in Bali, it's like you go there for sort of the location and the vibe around it, whereas some things it's just like a standalone activity that you've got to do. So if I was to say like an area that I really, really loved in Bali, I think it's actually one that people miss. And it's called Cinnamon. It's spelled like Sideman. Or Sidemen. It's just beautiful. So I went over there when Daniel came over and we stayed in this place called Patal Kelkian Villas. And literally, I think it's only got about 8 villas in that bit, but it's up all of these hills and up all these mountains and stuff. and directly opposite you've got this view of Mount Agung, which is
It's the aftertaste of that.
We've got this view of the volcano directly opposite, so we would walk out of our room and there'd just be this amazing volcano. We could just stare. It was like watching TV all day, just see the clouds just pass through. It was just beautiful. So I'd say that was incredible. And then also they've got an infinity pool that overlooks it. And while we stayed in that area, we went to this place called Lahangen Suite. I mean, I'd seen it on Instagram and I was like, oh, that looks really nice. It's an amazing view. Again, you can see the mountain from it. But it's just so high up, like almost in the clouds. It's just so high. And you've got this like beautiful platform with like a little staircase. So it's very Instagram vibes. Mm-hmm. So I thought, oh, we'll go there for the view. And then we get with our driver. So we're driving up there. And literally the hills is every corner we go in, it's like steep. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going so high. We're like really going high up, and he was like really having to press, get into the gears and everything. We finally get to this bit where we thought the entrance was, and there was all these sort of like locals that were sat around, and there was like a few like, like seating areas and stuff. And I was like, okay, how do we get to the top? And they're like, oh, to go up this last bit of the road.
You gotta walk.
No, but you can walk. You can get one of our motorbikes, or we'll take you up in a 4x4, but you can't go up there in your car. Like, it's just not going to work. So we're like, okay, cool, we'll get in the 4x4.
Yeah,
I think it was like 50,000.
So you didn't pick a motorbike?
Yeah, I think it was like 50,000 IRD, which is IDR, which is probably about £2.50 each way. So it wasn't too bad.
That's
so
crazy.
It was so cheap.
Cheaper than the bus.
I know, that's what I mean. And literally the guy's risked his life. So this guy who lived
from here.
Cost of living is real.
Cost of living is a situation right now. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it after my Bali escape. So then we get in the car. The guy looks like he's about 14, 15. He's like, okay, we go. And you can see little landslides. We're going past. I was like, oh my gosh. Literally, we're bouncing. We finally get to the top, and then the view.
I'd be praying the whole way.
We were. I was literally like, oh my god, bouncing. Get to the top, and I was like, oh my gosh, the view is insane. It is so beautiful, but it is such like an adventure. Even just going up there is the adventure in itself.
Sounds very tumultuous.
It was very
like
tumultuous.
Going down would just make me feel even more nervous.
And then down, you're so forward, like you're just like looking down into the ground. It was, and then obviously don't forget on the side, if you then turn your head, you could just see the cliff going down. It was so scary.
This isn't a roller coaster.
It felt like a roller coaster. I felt like it was in freaking Orlando. I felt like it was in Orlando. So anyway, we finally, so that was one of the other things. So I'd say for the beautiful views, like Cinnamon, you've got those couple of things. But then also, just in terms of like vibes and area, I really love Uluwatu. So Uluwatu is South Bali. And it's just got really beautiful beaches, powdery soft sand, Padang beach is beautiful. They're quite small beaches, but they are gorgeous. And a lot of the beach clubs and the hotels have their own private bit of beach as well. So Sunday's Beach Club, for example, you can go down on their little cable car thing, walk the last little bit, and the beach is just beautiful. So I think that part is like a kind of hidden gem in the sense of that as well.
Wait, just back to the mountain.
Oh.
Are you on top of the clouds?
So the day that we were there weren't clouds below, but I've seen pictures where the clouds are below as well. But we could see clouds that were literally cutting off the mountain. So basically, when you go to see that view, you normally see the mountain, but literally because there were so many clouds, it just covered it. But they were kind of like level with us.
We'll go for the chili chocolate.
Are there chili pieces in it, or?
Yeah,
I think it's
like
just
chili
kind of
seeds.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I've got a bit of spice there.
No, spice.
It's at the end.
I have a little kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's get that water, please.
Okay.
It's just not nice, is it?
Bitter with spice.
The popcorn is the best snack right now.
Your social life. That's what we're going to ask.
How was my social life? Well,
yeah. In comparison to England.
Okay, so it's a hard one to compare to England because it's obviously different. So like in England, obviously it's people that I know, that I've known for years, that we kind of organise and meet up and, go in cycles of let's do this, let's do that. Whereas in Bali, it's this constant meeting new people. It's like a constant excitement and a pull.
Bring
Bring that. So I was a bit nervous because I did think that, you know, I meet friends while I'm out there. There's lots of digital nomads. It's a big digital nomad community. I thought I'm going to make friends, but it might just take me a bit of time. So I kind of thought that my first few weeks I'd use to kind of just, you know, get into the routine with work because I've run my own businesses. Also, I was going to WhatsApp, there's loads of Bali group chats that you can find the details for. And then also on Facebook, there's loads of communities and loads of groups. So I was like, it's fine, I'll just kind of like warm up to it. And there was this one group that I was in called Black in Bali. And I wanted to find out about getting my hair braided out there. So I thought, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, loads of people will know in this group. I'm sure they get their hair braided and stuff. So I joined the group just before I went out there. And then they had a brunch. They have a monthly brunch that happens. Mm-hmm. I landed on the Wednesday, and on the Sunday was the brunch. So I was like, oh, perfect. So I kind of like got my bearings a little bit. Right. And then I was like, I'll go on the Sunday. So I rock up on the Sunday. And I cannot believe how quickly I met an amazing group of people that became friends that literally were there at my leave and do 4 months later. Like, it was just such a close-knit community. We ended up filling out the whole restaurant. There were people everywhere that I made friends with. And that was like my core group of friends that I made straight away. So I was in lots of different WhatsApp chats. I always had someone that was checking in, like, hey, I've not heard from you for a few days. Like, how's everything going? Just checking in. What are you doing this weekend?
That's good, though.
And, you know, that day, so we all had brunch together, and then there was a few of us that were like, oh, what do you want to do? And then we ended up all walking down and then went and watched the sunset together, and we just became like a really nice bonded sort of group of friends. And then I just always had that community to dip into. So that was my first sort of access to it. Then they also had like this monthly party that they did, so I went to the monthly party, and it was like where they celebrate everyone's birthdays that have happened that month. That was really cool. But then I obviously got added to other groups as well. So there's another one called Bali Anecdotes, and that group is on non-stop. So I'm talking maybe 400 notifications a day on that WhatsApp chat. So like, if you are going to Bali,
anything in Bali.
You have no worry of being alone. There is always someone asking a question. There's always someone, hey, what are you doing in this area today? Is anyone at this restaurant today? Is anyone looking for accommodation? Anyone looking for, like, there's just always something. So if you want to tap into that group, that is there. And then,
I'm
like
not
I said,
active on my phone like that. I can't, 400. No,
it's a lot of notifications.
I guess you just find what you need to find.
Yeah, and then you just leave it. Yeah. So I was actually looking for help fixing my laptop, so I went into that group, and then loads of people helped me. I was like, okay, great, thank you. But then I went to one of their events, which was really cool, so that was good as well. And I guess that my social life, it was just non-stop. Even people that that I'd connected with loosely years ago, you know, they were then like, hey, I'm in Bali, let's meet up. And it just makes me see a different side of how we should live. I feel like we get to a certain age in life, and we spoke about this in the podcast, where we kind of assume that that's all the friends we've ever met, and that's all the experiences, or, you know, new people. But actually, some of the most significant people in your life you might not have even met yet.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
Just, like, it's so amazing, like some of these close connections, and there's things that, you know, we're connecting with in an adult phase of life that a lot of people probably from our longer term friendships might not be able to relate to in that way. So it was amazing. And one of my oldest friends, we've been friends since we were 4 years old, she happened to be in Bali at the same time, so then we ended up spending Christmas together, we spent New Year's together, like, so that was a nice reconnection. And then there's another girl that I worked with in 2010. We didn't actually cross over, but we went to Disney together. And then I posted in a Facebook group. She said, hey, I'm in Bali, we should meet up. And then I was like, I recognise that name. Clicked on her profile, and then we've got like 52 mutual friends. I was like, oh my God, it is her. And then we became really, really, really close. So it was just amazing being able to kind of like get through the end of the day and then be like, hey, who wants to watch the sunset today? Hey, who wants to go to a beach club this weekend? Hey, who wants to go for dinner? Like, there was always something to do, and everyone was always up for, like, someone was always up for doing something.
I think that's so cool, because here you don't get that.
No, it's so different. Like, you have to. I mean, I love my friendship group, but honestly, like, we are literally in WhatsApp making polls of when everyone's available. Like, I'm not even joking. We are.
Schedules.
Oh my gosh! It just took us maybe a week and a half to plan a date, and even then, not everyone can make it, because it's like you've got kids, you've got responsibilities, you've got jobs. It's just less like that. Whereas in Bali, there are expats, there are people that got kids and stuff out there, but you're just more open to experiencing things. You don't want to miss out. It's like you've constantly got FOMO.
It lifts that feeling of like loneliness as well. Sometimes even when you have friends and they're not free, you're like, oh, I can't see them for this amount of time. It's like I'm lonely up until that point in time. So, yeah.
Whereas I remember one day in particular when I was in one of the groups, I think it was the Black in Bali group chat, I literally was going to go to this place called Lobster. Oh my gosh, that's what I should have said about the food. There's a place called Lobster, and it's a lobster place, and it's open till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why, but it's got swings in there, and they do these lobster rolls that are like drenched in lemon and garlic and like butter, and the lobster is so generous. Like they pile it with like loads of chunks of lobster.
Not here when the bloody show.
Yeah, when you get one little
here you go.
Yeah, no, there it's like so generous. So you have to go to Lobster. There's one in Seminyak and one in Canggu. And I just wanted to go there. I was like, I want to get some lobster today. I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to go get a lobster roll. And I just put in this group chat, hey, I'm going to go to Lobster tonight. Does anyone want to come? And then I ended up having dinner with 4 people that I'd never met before. They were all like, yeah, cool, I'm coming. And we all just sat around. We've got each other's Instagrams now. And every now and then we reply to each other's stories. But it's like we had this very shared experience where we're all in Bali solo. We sat down, we're eating lobster together, and then you kind of just carry on with your life. But
lobster.
With Bali, what I realised is you can be as social or as antisocial as you want to be. There are people that came over and did silent retreats where they don't speak for an entire week, like not one word. And at the silent retreats, they have to eat with their eyes closed.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's like a mindfulness thing. So apparently when you've got your eyes closed, you stop eating when you're actually full because you're not looking at your plate. And also you're just more like paying attention. So Maltitos, these are like, I guess, the local Indonesian Maltesers.
I guess it's like, just when you go to America and they call it, what was it, Ways, Walkers?
Lays. No, everywhere else calls it Lays. We're just awkward and call it Walkers. We're the only place that calls it Walkers.
No, I thought it was invented here though.
Yeah, I thought it was.
No, how can everyone change it?
Gary Lineker is so invested
and
into it. It must be British.
It's literally from Leicester. Walker's Chris. So like,
but when you go to any other country in the world, like America, France, Spain, they all have. Even in Morocco, it's Lays.
Right, Maltitos time.
Maltitos. Okay. I ate one. It's good. What are you doing?
I'm not sure I like it.
You don't like Maltesers?
No, but this is not Maltesers.
This is not Maltesers.
Do you like this?
It's the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not. How? Are you alright?
No, it says honeycomb centre.
No, it's the same concept, but it's not. It tastes
not
very different.
It's basically the same.
Different.
The taste buds are broken. It's the same.
Your taste buds are broken.
Well, you don't like it. It's the same.
No, it's not. I
wouldn't
eat that. I'd eat
Why?
Maltesers because it's not the same.
I can't eat
Tell
that.
me what the difference is then.
Okay, the chocolate on the outside.
That is the biggest difference.
The chocolate obviously tastes different.
See, why is it even you know it tastes different, but not good different?
Because it's basically the same.
No,
it's not basically the same.
It's bad different.
That's like, okay, that's like...
It's like cheap chocolate.
No offense to Bali and your snacks, but that's like saying the same, like Cadbury's chocolate is the same as when you go to Aldi. Like,
or when you go to
difference.
Galaxy and Dairy Milk, like it's all, it's so clear.
Of course it's going to be a slight difference. This isn't, who is it? Is it Nestle who do Maltesers?
Yeah, I think Nestle do Maltesers.
Obviously this is not Nestle.
Yeah, but
so
you can't, but you're not, you're saying that it's the same.
It basically tastes the same.
It tastes so different.
It's not a slight difference.
It's so different. If someone put a bowl of that in front of me and put a bowl of Maltesers, I know it's Maltesers. Let's rate what we've eaten then. Salmon skin out of 10.
Like a 3.
That's like a 0.
A 0.
I wouldn't eat that.
What do you think?
I like that. I feel like, okay, the Singapore one is way better because it's got more like flavour, like powder flavour on it.
Yeah.
But this one, I'd probably rate about a 6 or a 7. I like fried, crispy, fresh fried and crispy.
If there was nothing else to eat and I was a uni student and I couldn't be bothered to go to the shop and
not
this
even
wasn't
got the
covered,
22
I would
pence
eat
your
it.
name.
It's all very specific. Like it's so like detailed. Like why?
It's not that 22 pence to your name to go get Aldi noodles. This is what you
That's what I'm
eating.
It's just too far down the list. So that's a no. All right, and then the chili.
Oh
chocolate.
God,
no. Oh, so the little balls, Tic Tacs.
I actually like those.
I like them.
They're like little crisps.
Like if they were in a different flavour.
You can't be changing it. Yes or no? They're not a different flavour.
They're a bit more edible, so I'd probably like eat them if I was really bored. There's always a scenario.
It's too many scenarios. Like yes or no?
No.
Okay, now Monty.
These are like a 9.
A 9.
Mess around.
A fine.
Tastes like Maltesers.
They're so different. I would say a 2 for Maltesers. That's our verdict of these 5 Balinese snacks. Now again, like I said, don't come for me if you're like, these are not traditional like Balinese snacks. You know, this is just what I picked up at the supermarket. Feel free to send more snacks my way. I'm not going to say no. I'm glad that you took part in this with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, we'll do some more snack adventures very, very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.